I have the privilege now of introducing someone that you all know that really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyhow because it's the next thing on the list of things for me to do. I have the privilege of introducing my best friend in the world and the person that I have had the privilege of serving with for the last many years, Chad Robichaux. Now, Chad has a lot of things going on. If you follow our social media, it's probably hard to keep up. There's always something going on. This last week, Chad released An Unfair Advantage, and many of you have this book. In fact, we have some out in the lobby. There are a number of things from Mighty Oaks out in the lobby. You can stop by there. But Chad released An Unfair Advantage that we originally printed as a foundation. It was published and has been reprinted, and you can get that on Amazon. I'd encourage you to go there. It's the same content, but in the back there's a video study, and that's something you want to get on. Check that out. But so thankful for Chad and Kathy and their family and all that they do. Join me in welcoming the founder of the Mighty Oaks Foundation, Chad Robichaux.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you all for being here tonight. I want to welcome the people who are here the very first time, and then welcome back all of you who continue to come each and every year and continue to support us and believe in the call that God has put in us to serve our warriors. I want to get a show of hands though. Who's here for the very first time? Have a hard time seeing? Wow, that's great. That's amazing. Thank you guys for coming, and it makes the next part pretty easy because I'm supposed to educate you on what Mighty Oaks is, so I don't have to repeat myself to people who've been here over and over and over again. But before I get started, I want to tell you guys a bit of good news. Is my family and I have decided to move back to Texas.
All right.
We left here almost 10 years ago to start Mighty Oaks, and we planted Mighty Oaks around the country. Now we have locations and ranches and staff members all over the country. Our headquarters is in California, which I know there's not a California fans in here, but the proximity to bases, our headquarters there. That's where Jeremy runs Mighty Oaks Foundation, and I have the ability because of amazing staff to live wherever I want to work on the road. It was pretty much where I work from, and so Kathy and I chose to move back here. I moved back here to Woodlands. Going to be happy to be back with Pastor Jeff at Boyd's Edge Church, our home church, and we're still unpacking boxes if anybody wants to come help. So I also moved back here with my son Hunter, and the reason I want to bring that up is because the last two galas, you guys have committed to praying for Hunter. Hunter was our third generation Marine in our family. My father served, I served, and my son Hunter served, and he went to Afghanistan. And each of the last two galas, while he was in Afghanistan, you guys prayed for him, and he came home safe. In fact, he's here tonight with us with his friend Brandon Kelly. He's here with him. I know we're here. So with him is Brandon Kelly and another Marine that was in Afghanistan with him. And then some other news is our youngest son Hayden decided to follow in the family tradition after my dad and myself and his older brother. And he is at MCRD right now at boot camp in quarantine. And tomorrow night he'll step on the yellow footprints and begin his journey to become a Marine. Well, it's my job tonight, especially with all you new guests, to really educate you guys on what Mighty Oaks is. And like I said, some of you have heard this before, but I have, and I always will do it by telling you where it started. Because the history of Mighty Oaks and history in general is at the core of who we are as an organization and how we function as an organization. And many of you already know, but I didn't just start Mighty Oaks as a founder. I'm kind of like the hair club for men, right? I'm not only a founder, I'm a client. I'm getting there too. But I started off as Mighty Oaks as being the first student or the first warrior to go through our programs. After my time in Afghanistan, I came home and suffered with the exact same things that we help many of our warriors with today. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I faced severe panic attacks, debilitating panic attacks, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, facing divorce in my family, right here in the Woodlands, and faced a very real battle of taking my own life and becoming another veteran suicide statistic, the statistics that we're talking about tonight. And beyond that, I've really struggled with one of the main things I've ever struggled with, and that's rediscovering purpose. And there were many, many steps into my road to recovery, but none were more vital for me than the restoration of my faith. Through the mentorship of one of the men that were up here tonight, you guys, many of you know him, Steve Toth. Steve Toth was that church at the time. And alongside Steve Toth were some of the other men you've seen up here, Sammy Powell, Van Blassingame, Pastor Jeff Wells, people who stepped into my life and came around me and really gave me not only the support I needed, but the challenges I needed, the direction I needed to systematically align my life with the life that I was created to live. This biblical blueprint of living and living through life struggles and how to intentionally calibrate your life moving forward. You see, I had tried everything before that. After being diagnosed with PTSD, I had been on all the medications, I had been through the programs and the counseling. I had even had professional success as a professional athlete. For those of you who don't know, I was a professional MMA fighter. I had success there. I owned a gym here in the Woodlands and had a really good business and made good money. I had all these things that I had tried to do to make myself better, but all of them fell flat. None of them worked. When I simply made that choice to surrender my life to Christ and align my life systematically with the life I was intended to live, everything in my life radically changed. I began to find restoration in my own brokenness, in my family. I found hope for the first time in a very long time, and I found what I had struggled for my whole life, and I think that many of our warriors really struggle with, and that's purpose. Having a purpose to wake up to the next day. That purpose for me manifested in what I knew to be a calling from God to share what I discovered with others. You see, when I was going through those darkest times of my life, I thought I was the only one. And many people, when they're in their lowest, darkest moments of life, they think they're the only one. No one can feel as bad as I do. No one can have this issue. No one's marriage could be as bad as mine. No one's finances could be as bad as mine. No one can be so hopeless that they don't want to live anymore. I'm the only one. And what I discovered was I was not the only one. In fact, 22 of my brothers every day were actually taking their life. The divorce rate was at an all-time epidemic high. The diagnosis of PTSD was over 30%. As you heard Senator Cruz say, over 50% of our veterans in the last 19 years of the war on terror come back suffering with some sort of physical, mental, or emotional wound. And here I was, in this moment in my life, feeling like I had the cure. I had the solution. I didn't want to pay it forward. I felt obligated to pay it forward. And God put a deep burden on my heart to pay this forward. I saw this problem. I knew it was a big problem. And I knew I had a responsibility to do something about it. And that's how Mighty Oaks began. Not in a boardroom, not some fancy idea. As Steve said, I'm like, we're starting a foundation. We're going to pay for it exactly what you guys did for me. And he said, man, you're out of your mind. You're crazy. You need to chill out, go to seminary or something like that. I'm like, no, we're doing this. And it was actually Pastor Jeff that stepped in and really kind of assured me that I was making the right decision. And the thing about Mighty Oaks that makes it special is that it's not just about helping veterans. We don't victimize these guys and say, hey, you guys are combat veterans, you guys deserve to be taken care of, you're entitled to a program like this. I mean, you think that meal that you guys are eating right now is good? And by the way, it's pretty good. You go to one of our ranches. Our guys put on an average of 50 pounds a week when they go. They exaggerate real good, but they put on a lot of weight when they go out. We feed them so well, and we just take care of them and we love on them. But the purpose of the program is not to entitle them, to reward them, or enable them and tell them, hey, thank you for your service, you deserve this. The title, the part of our program that works is that we challenge them. Peer to peer, we challenge them. And we don't just challenge them to get better. We challenge them to be in a position to help the next guy. To turn around and pay it forward, just like I was given an opportunity to do. To look back behind them and say, I came out of that dark valley, and I'm on my way out now, and I found the way out, follow me. Let's go out of this valley together. And have purpose again, to lead again, to pay it forward and to challenge the next guy to do the same. The Bible calls this discipleship. And it's actually, in fact, what Jesus commanded us to do, to go forth and make disciples of all. And that's what we're doing at Mighty Oaks. We're building disciples, leaders of leaders, warrior to warrior, on a very peer-to-peer level, talking about the struggles and challenges they face, and how when they made that decision, that choice in their life, to align their life with the life they were created to live, they found a way out. And that simple, very simple methodology has resulted in the lives of thousands, tens of thousands of lives changed. Several things we do at Mighty Oaks. And one is our resiliency program. And that's where mainly myself or Jeremy go to military bases around the world and we speak about resiliency, combat resiliency, spiritual resiliency. We talk about PTSD from a creation perspective. We talk about suicide prevention, and we're not some psychologist that's coming in and doing a check in a box for a program. We talk about it from a very personal and practical level. And we've been able to do this for over 150,000 active duty troops now over the last 9 years of doing this. And while we go to these bases, we're allowed to give out resources. And Jeremy and I have written several books. We've given away over 100,000 books to our troops in these events. I just came back 2 weeks ago. I was at my old unit, 1st Recon Battalion, and speaking to my peers. I thought, man, I never thought I'd be back at my unit speaking to the next generation of reconnaissance Marines, telling them how to not only be combat ready, but be spiritually resilient, be truly resilient warfighters, and able to go do the hard things that our warriors have to do. Because look, right now in the world's a messed up place. There's some hard things our warriors have to do. But how to not just be ready to be combat ready to do that job, but be able to come back and bounce back when they get back home. And be able to continue on as quality husbands or wives or fathers and mothers and friends again, and eventually civilians again. How to do that, how to be resilient. What's it mean to have these 4 pillars of resiliency that the military talks about? Mind, body, spirit, social. What it actually means to have that, and what it can mean for their personal lives. In addition to our resiliency program, we have our recovery program, and that's what tonight's about. It's about scholarshiping people to our recovery program. We call our legacy program because we believe that when the warrior goes to this legacy program and changes their life, it's not just their life, it's the lives of everybody they touch and impact, including their families and those the generations behind them. They're going to leave a legacy worth leaving behind. We've had over 4,000 graduates from our legacy program. These programs are 1 week long, and they're followed on by a lifetime of aftercare if they choose to stay plugged in. We're doing 30 of these programs a year, and tonight, again, we're looking to scholarship 200 warriors into this program. We do several other things at Mighty Oaks, but the one I want to talk about is the one I've spent the last 2 years really dedicated to, and that's our advocacy effort. A lot of people might disagree with politics right now. I think we're probably pretty like-minded in this room tonight, I would just assume. If you think a ministry or someone in ministry or a faith-based program would not have anything to do with politics, and I would argue it has everything to do with politics. And I won't tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you that you need to vote. And everybody needs to get out there and vote. Religious liberty is on the ballot, and I can tell you firsthand, veterans care is on the ballot in this November. Veterans care is on the ballot. The lives of our warriors on the battlefield, the rules of engagement, and how they fight is on the ballot. And the lives of our warriors and the welfare of our warriors when they come home is on the ballot. And I've been fighting for policy for about 2 years in Washington, D.C. One of the things that I was asked to do was by the White House, I was asked to bring a coalition together of faith-based veterans nonprofits. And I'm the chairman of the FBVSA, where we brought together faith-based veteran service organizations that all are like-minded and bring a faith-based solution to our warriors. And in doing that, we've been able to change executive orders. We've had the president sign an executive order that allows faith-based programs back into the VA. We've had several bills and legislations passed. I've testified before Congress that have lots of there's lots of lawyers in Washington, D.C., by the way. I've had lots of legal people say, you can't do that because it's against the law for faith-based programs to do that in a government entity. And I say, well, show me the law. Because if there's a law, we need to change it. And they can't show me the law. So we're impacting and changing policy for faith-based programs within the VA and DOD. We worked with, Jeremy and I were 2 of 30 people that the president invited to go to the White House when he signed the Prevents initiative. Prevents is the president's roadmap to empower veterans in the national tragedy of suicide for veterans. And it's just an incredible program that includes all hands on deck, every American, every resource America has to end this tragedy on suicide. And one of the things the president put in there was faith-based programs. And so not only were we there, but we got tasked with, and I'm personally getting to advise and counsel the Deputy Secretary of the Veterans Administration, the VA, on how to implement faith-based programs back into the VA. We're doing a faith-based study, which is the first time in history a faith-based program has ever been looked at to be studied by the VA, to be considered evidence-based treatment. That way the VA can send people directly from the VA, and we're doing that partnership with Dr. Cooney with Duke University, and we're moving forward. We actually, just last week, we had a call with the VA, and they agreed to do a memorandum, MOU, a memorandum of understanding, to do a partnership with Mighty Oaks and the organizations at the FDBSA. We're making incredible groundwork in DC through our advocacy efforts and bringing faith as the center stage as a solution to this problem. And the reason why, that we're getting this attention isn't because the people in Washington, D.C. believe in faith-based programs or believe in what we're selling. It's not that. It's that they realize that the other treatments that they've had over the last years are not working. In 2009, executive order was signed from President Obama that eliminated faith-based programs from the VA. At that time, the suicide rate was 16 a day. After he signed the executive order, in a period of 4 years, the suicide rate went up to 22 a day. It was a tragic impact on the lives of veterans. Policy is so important. And look, the VA has incredible doctors and mental health providers. I used to, if you follow me back in the news, you'd see me bashing the VA. I despised the VA. I hated the VA. I thought it was a terrible organization. And I can't believe it now when I'm saying the VA is actually doing really well. We have a 91% approval rating in the VA right now in veterans. The veterans community came to me. 91% approval rating. The veterans don't even realize that I thought we were supposed to hate them. They're actually doing a good job. It's hard to say that. There's a lot of work left to do, though. But the truth is this. Why it's so important that the VA gets faith-based programs is doctors and mental health providers can heal the mind and they can heal the body. But until you heal someone's soul, they're never truly going to be healed. And the only way to heal a broken soul is through a relationship with Christ. Combat, guys, has a lot of tragedies. People lose arms and legs. People get their bodies banged up. They get TBIs. But when you talk about PTSD, what is PTSD? PTSD is a spiritual wound. It's a spiritual wound to the soul. I heard it said as blunt trauma to the soul. And the only way to heal a spiritual wound is with a spiritual solution. Amen. And Mighty Oaks brings that spiritual solution. And the results that we've seen, what God has allowed us to do through Mighty Oaks, has continued to give us unprecedented access to both the veteran community and the active duty military community who are desperate for hope. You heard Jeremy say it, in the last few months during COVID, 20% increase in the active duty suicide rate. When I went to the first retirement battalion this last 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, wasn't a chaplain event, it was just to open, everybody's mandated to go. I said, I'm not going to preach, I'm going to be careful. They said, no, say whatever you need to say. You need to hear it. Our guys need to hear it. They're desperate for hope. They need real solutions, and we're bringing real solutions to this horrific problem that our combat veterans are facing. As a result of all the providences that we've seen through God's support, God's providence through Mighty Oaks, we have a big road ahead of us. But we have an amazing staff. We have an incredible support from a grateful nation. That's you guys. And guys, I'm just going to pause and say, it just baffles me and Jeremy were just talking about this. It just baffles me, like, in a time like most Americans took a financial hit. Most companies took a financial hit. There's a company, they're not here tonight, they have a few representatives, and I watch the donations all the time. They give a percentage of their company's gross revenue. And I'm watching their donation to Mighty Oaks go up during COVID. And so I called them, I said, man, you guys must be doing really well. I'm so thankful that you guys are continuing to support us. They said, no, we're not actually doing any better than we normally are. We just know that everybody else is struggling, so out of faith, we wanted to give more. And you guys, it's just amazing how you guys stepped up and make this happen. because while the needs of many ministries, not just Mighty Oaks, while the finances have gone down, the donations have gone down, the demand is going up because of the same reasons. And so we need that support. We have warriors that are desperate, their lives depend. There's people that, and I'm not guilt tripping anyone, I'm just telling you from what I do, there's people whose lives depend on what happens here tonight. Tonight's a fundraiser. It's to raise funds. It's not to eat the good chicken, I say it every year, right? It's to raise funds. It's a fun event, and I hope everybody has a great time tonight, but let's be honest while we're here to save people's lives. We're here to restore people's families. We're here to change people's legacies for eternity. That's why we're here tonight. And because of that, I'm extremely grateful that you would give up your time, come here during the midst of COVID, come here, and then those of you who are tuning in online, because the event's virtual, I'm extremely grateful that you would give us your time tonight to hear what we have to say, hear our plea, to stand in the gap for these guys, and ask you for your support for them. I love you guys. I'm so thankful on behalf of Kathy, myself, and the Mighty Oaks Foundation. I'm so blessed by you guys, and I just pray that you guys have an amazing evening, and that tonight's just a huge success for Mighty Oaks and for all that you guys team up with us to do. God bless you guys. Thank you.